It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the South Carolina Hockey Club social media manager, Alyssa Tull. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Brandon. Thanks for having me on again.
Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get into college athletics?
Yeah, so I started with the hockey team my sophomore year. I actually transferred to University of South Carolina, so it was my second semester, sophomore year. I was looking to get involved in the school and put myself out there, try different clubs. Coming from Maryland, I'm a big hockey fan, grew up a big Caps fan. We had season tickets. So I looked at the hockey club, talked to two guys who worked for the team, but also played. They did the social media for the team. So I talked to them and asked them if I'd be able to help out a little bit. So my second semester of sophomore year was when I spent it doing the Instagram stories for the team, which was great. I absolutely loved it. And then going off of that, fall of junior year is when I worked with the Gamecock Club, where it was more of the official sports, and not so much of the club extracurricular activity sports, but I enjoyed both of them a lot.
How has your time working in minor leagues helped you on the college level?
I think minor league showed me that I have way more time management skills than I thought I did. And it gives me a chance to appreciate the aspect of having a 9 to 5 when you're working in college athletics, or having the ability to work one game a week instead of a homestand of 5 games like minor league is.
Of course, what is it like studying sports marketing and sports communications?
I think specifically at University of South Carolina, it's an absolute blast. I know I made the right decision, coming from a school down in Florida, and then I went to community college, and coming in as a sophomore transferring, it was stressful having to take that step back and think about what I really want to do. I actually went into college as a health science major, and that, I realized very fast I'm not good at science. So I took a step back and thought about what I want to do. And when I looked at it, sports was something I had always been passionate about. And I'm a very big people person. So coming in, it was a little bit stressful, but the major is actually sport and entertainment management. So I could have gone either entertainment or sports. I ended up choosing sports just because I'm a little bit more passionate about it. But overall, it's still about the fan experience. And at University of South Carolina, we have amazing professors, and it's just insane the amount of hands-on experience and hands-on learning that we're given here. I mean, I'm taking a sales class right now, and there's no better way to learn sales than selling tickets. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're actually selling 2022 baseball season tickets. So I really appreciate, all the professors. I don't think the major would be as great if it wasn't for the amazing people teaching us.
That's amazing. What are some things that you study in the sports communication side?
I'm actually picking up a journalism and mass communications minor next semester. So I'll be doing a lot more communications focused studies in that side, or during that time. But we do a lot of management and marketing classes that specifically focus on sports situations. Um, and I do think we have a lot of electives that allow the sports communication side as well. So I'm taking a social media in sports class next semester, and I've taken a sports law class, which was really great, and a sports leadership class as well. So kind of gets that all around experience of communicating amongst peers, amongst coworkers, amongst teachers and leaders and stuff like that. So definitely every single class involves sports communications, but next semester I'll be pretty kind of tunnel visioned on the journalism and mass communication side.
Of course, after you graduate, what is it going to be like to get a sports journalist degree and go on into obviously working in professional sports?
I think it's going to be a crazy time, with COVID affecting a lot of sports teams. My time of graduation is May of next year, May 2022. So I do think there's going to be a surplus of jobs available, but I also think, everybody knows that sports are super competitive. It's a hard industry to get into. So it would be a lot of hard work, a lot of networking, making those connections now to where when I am applying for jobs, it's almost like I'm getting interviewed by someone who's a mentor to me instead of someone who I've never met before. But I am really looking forward to it. I think I'm ready to get out there. The more experience that I gain as a senior in college, the more I can tell that I'm ready to go and be committed to one team for a little bit, be committed to those games every single week and be out there talking to the same people and make those serious lifelong connections instead of, working. Like the Kentucky Derby for a day was amazing. I absolutely loved it, but it does show me how ready I am to get out there and stay committed to a group of people or, whatever department I'm in, get committed to that fan base and allow them to have a great experience.
What was it like for you to work the Gamecocks developmental as an intern?
It was great. I don't think it was the typical internship. I did have it last fall where we were in the midst of COVID. So the development interns are normally ones who answer the phone and do a lot of customer service, whereas the full-time employees have specific duties for each one of their jobs, such as the major gifts people. They're going out and they're talking to potential donors, whereas last year during COVID, every single person was on the phone every day. We were all doing customer service, which in hindsight was a great, great learning experience. I learned an insane amount of customer service skills, of communication skills, of, making sure that our major donors at USC are happy. And even though it sounds simple, it definitely took a lot of learning, but I loved it, even though it definitely wasn't the typical development internship that our Gamecock Club normally has. I wouldn't have traded it for a normal year at all because I learned so much.
What was it like, obviously, joining the South Carolina Hockey Club as the public relations assistant?
It was interesting. So I started sophomore year doing the Instagram stories, and then as the company, you would say the club team, as we started growing, we're hiring more employees. I would say it was me and maybe 3 or 4 other people who were helping out with the team my sophomore year. And then as the presidents of the team are changing and as we're trying to grow this club sport, we ended up hiring interns, and I was given the chance to choose a department that I was interested in so I could learn a little bit more, get a little bit more experience. So I ended up choosing public relations, and I was doing that a little bit in the fall of last year. And then this past spring semester, unfortunately with COVID, the team was only doing a couple scrimmages. So I really learned the rundown of public relations and how it works, what we would be doing. The last time we talked, I was actually helping with the golf tournament and setting all of that up, getting the newsletter together. And coming into senior year, I was hit with a reality that senior year is not full of, going out with your friends or having free weekends, taking 2 classes and having all this free time. And I felt that I couldn't put my best foot forward when it came to PR. And I was leading the team with one other girl that I'm close with. So we sat down and talked, and she was willing to take on the PR side where I could take a step back and say, where can I put my best foot forward in this company or in this, in this club. And going back to social media, it was something that I was super passionate about, something that I really enjoyed. And it didn't feel as much of a job as, running all of the PR stuff did, which I think I still did a great job learning it all and everything. But for the club hockey team specifically, I really enjoy the social media aspect. I don't know if you've checked out some of our stuff, but we are pretty popular. I think a lot of people follow us for our social medias. Our Twitter is great. And we're looking at adding a couple new things and trying to make it a little different to get, to grow that fan base over social media for the people that can't make it out to games every week.
What were some of your roles as the PR assistant?
When I was the PR assistant, I was learning from the 2 girls who had previously run the PR department. So they were teaching us how to do like the breast cancer games and military appreciation, how to do the community outreach and find people who could help out with those games, who we could feature, who we could get sponsored, or have someone help out with the 50-50 raffle. And then they were also teaching us how to do a newsletter, get all the stats from the games and put those into the newsletter, and then we were talking about the golf tournament, which did happen this year. It was a great success. It has happened in past years. So that was something that we also learned, but we talked about doing other events, a lot of volunteer stuff and a lot of community outreach as well, which was a great learning experience because I hadn't really had any previous public relations experience up until that point.
What was it like for you whenever you joined the social media as the social media manager for the club?
It was definitely an interesting experience. Being a club team, there aren't as many rules as an official sports team has. So we're able to take all of this content that we have of these guys who most of them are from the north. They're coming down to school to have fun, but also, shoot a puck around every once in a while, and they're good at it too. So I guess, with us winning, it definitely helps our social media and everybody kind of paying attention to us, that there's never a fault when the team is winning. But it was crazy, getting into a group of guys, being the person who's on Instagram taking the stories, and they're all doing a bunch of crazy stuff, which is fun in a sense because we can throw out these funny videos or these crazy videos, see if people like them, and if they don't like them, we won't do that again. But then if they do like them, we'll kind of pick up off of that and see what part of this stupid video that we put out did they like. And there's some really good videos too. I got to give props to our videographer and photographers. I mean, they're on top of it, which really helps out with the social media aspect, because if we don't have those really cool pictures to post, it's just content of a bunch of college dudes doing dumb stuff sometimes.
What are some things that obviously you've done as the social media manager for the club?
So starting off, I did the Instagram stories for the games, and that gave me a little bit of an idea of what I want to do. And now I still do the Instagram stories during the games. I'm going to try and do the Twitter maybe for a game. The people who used to run the Twitter were really good at chirping people on the Twitter, and sometimes I always have to say, is this a little too mean to say? I don't know, when I'm doing it on the Instagram stories. But I do live stories during the games, and now I actually have a little bit more of a role in posting things. I'm about to do a rookie segment on the social media, and this upcoming Friday, I'm actually doing a little bit of in-game hosting, kind of like I did with the Sharks, to see how I like it, to see if the crowd likes it. We're going to do a t-shirt toss, kind of a guess that song thing during the intermission. So definitely expanding my roles, more so now than I did sophomore year. But my main thing is the live Instagram stories during the game. I think everybody gets a kick out of those because when you're not at the game, and sometimes we have a live stream, sometimes we don't. I think people look to our social medias to get those live updates and, feel as if they're at the game too, still through social media.
What is the process like for you of obviously posting on social media for a college sports team?
It's tough in the sense that I want to be where the action is at every given second. So most of the time I'm standing on a chair in the penalty box because that's where I can get the best view of the goals. And sometimes it's great because I'll be in our penalty box, the guys are just kind of sitting there. I've been in the opposing team's penalty box, and they're not too happy when they get a penalty. So it's been a little bit tough sometimes, the location, but I think it's great being right up in the action, which is the best part about being on social media, is that you want to have the best view. So standing in the penalty box, taking those videos is great. And, I'm right there where everybody is. Sometimes I used to stand on the bench behind the players, and that would be entertaining for myself. Definitely things I couldn't post on social media, but it's great being in the action and feeling as though people are looking at the stories and, kind of hoping that I'll give them a lot of content that they can look at, because from home, it's great to feel as though you're watching the game through the social media.
What is the feeling like for you, obviously seeing once you post things, obviously seeing like maybe after the game or even days after, obviously it be posted on their social media and being like, oh, that was me that posted that.
Yeah, it feels great having people interact with the stories. I do a lot of things where I like to ask questions so the fans who are at home can respond. Last game I did something where I posted a picture of the player and I put a little question bubble that said, ask the player some questions for intermission. And it was really fun. Obviously we're in college, so people were asking the players if they could go to semi with them, or, it's very interactive for the fans and the players are getting a kick out of it. I do literally sit on my phone after a game and scroll through the stories constantly. And I'm like, if I was someone who was looking at this story, would I think it was entertaining? And most of the time, I like what I post, and I think it's something that I would want to look at. I like to post a lot. And that was something I struggled with at first was, am I posting too much? Is this overdoing it? Are people just getting annoyed by these stories? But after asking some people who are at home, asking my friends, it seemed as though the more content that's there, the more people enjoy it. Because if they're a fan of a team, there's not enough content you can put out to make those fans happy, because they want that content 24/7. They're never going to be upset with too many pictures of the players or too many jokes that the players are doing. So I really enjoy it. I like seeing, now that I'm doing official Instagram posts and trying to get a couple of videos together, seeing those is great, because I feel like we're still making a huge difference in this college community. I mean, the fan base for this hockey team has grown immensely in the past 5-6 years.
What are some of your favorite memories and moments of covering, obviously, the club hockey social media?
I think my favorite memories are just when I'm able to be right there when the goals happen. Being a huge hockey fan, it's something that I really enjoyed doing growing up, going to those games, being right there in the action, and coming down to school. It's almost as if I have that sense of home here, because I love being surrounded by the hockey team, like being in the ice and, having that coldness there. It is nice coming outside and it's like 80 degrees outside. That's the best part. But having that sense of, that northern side of things, and being surrounded by people who love hockey, and being able to sneak around in the ice because I'm taking videos for social media. So I get the best view of everything. It is a huge perk being able to say, oh, I got to stand, right behind the goal because I got to get this video. And I just get the best view every time. It's amazing.
Of course, speaking about standing behind the goal and stuff, what was it like the first time, obviously, you got to stand behind the goal and stand behind the players, knowing, obviously, as a hockey fan, you might have been sitting in the bleachers and now you get to be sitting next to them?
It's amazing. And it's almost, kind of like I feel like I'm looking into the future, because as I'm standing there taking these videos and I'm, freezing sometimes because I forgot gloves, I sit there and I'm like, man, I put myself out there. I got this social media job and I'm absolutely loving it. And I would love to take it to the next level. I would love to continue this. I mean, there's no funnier situation than when you're sitting with a hockey team or even a sports team in general, hearing what these people say. It's hilarious. And that's what I love about sports, is there's so much action. And, even the hockey championship, my sophomore year, I was standing on the bench with one of the other guys who was doing media, and he got kicked off because he was chirping the other team too much. And, I'm not as verbal as it. I'm a 5 foot tall person. I'm not going to start yelling at these 6'5" hockey players on skates, but it is just a great feeling being in the action. There's nothing that beats it. And it is nice that all of my job, like all the jobs that I'm doing, happens at the game and at the rink. So I'm constantly in the action with this team.
What is it like, obviously, balancing, obviously, running a social media for a college team and also running, obviously, your personal life and balance like that?
Yeah, well, as I said in the beginning, I even had to step back from PR because senior year hit me like a truck, and I didn't realize, how fast the end of college was sneaking up on me. So I did have to take a step back from PR, but in the sense it showed me how much I really cared about this team and how much I wanted to make this time to be able to work for the team and stick with this hockey team, because it makes me so happy going to those games and being around all of these new people. Just meeting people all the time is something that I love doing. It is tough balancing, I would say, I guess, my social life and hockey, because we We have those Friday night games. We're trying to put these games on big days where we know people will come, which in a sense, I honestly would rather spend my Friday night at a hockey game anyways. So it works out in the end. We normally don't do games during football games at South Carolina, which is nice. So I still am able to go to the football games and enjoy my senior year and not miss out on those. But I'm also, getting the hockey action in, which is the best part.
What is something that you learn now that you didn't know before covering in in college athletics?
I think it would go back to the time management. I think having to make my schedule around a team is a little bit different than I've ever done. Because when I did my development internship, I was focused only on that internship that semester. I wasn't even taking classes and I was working 8:30 to 5 every day. So I knew that that was my primary focus. Whereas when I'm working with the club hockey team, I'm taking classes, I'm still networking, trying to make these connections. I still am working other events on the side, volunteering at football games sometimes and stuff like that. So in the sense, it's taught me the time management because I have to adjust my schedule around another team to make sure that I can still be there for the team. And my school schedule, my class schedule and everything is based off of my availability that I can give the team. So time management was a major thing that I learned with working with this college team. And I also think a little bit of leadership, being able to say that I've worked with the team since sophomore year and having a whole team of employees come in. I'm definitely not one of the main leaders, but being able to help out with the younger interns who don't know necessarily some things about, what's going on. I mean, even hockey rules when it comes down to it. One of our team members was talking about halftime at the hockey game, and we were like, oh, okay, wait, let's take a step back and make sure everybody knows that it's, what's going on. It's definitely not halftime. So it's great just helping out, and I'm constantly learning, but also helping teach others as well.
What advice would you give somebody looking to go inside college athletics to work on, obviously, the social media side in college athletics?
I say go for it. I think even as a sophomore, it feels like I didn't get enough time doing this because it's constant experience and I'm doing it while I'm in school, which is the best part, that it gives me something to do while I'm here. But I'm also learning so much that I wouldn't necessarily learn in an internship, because there are a lot of commitments when you have an internship and you have to hold up to every single duty, and there's a lot of jobs you have whereas my position with social media now is I can take whatever videos I want, throw them out there, see if they work. And if they don't, that's good to know. And if they do, even better, I can start working off of that. And it kind of goes with, I'm working on a team of social media people as well. So it gives me the idea of how it feels to work with a department and work with a group of people before I've even stepped foot into the employment field, which in my opinion makes me feel as if I'm one step ahead of everybody else because I've already got this experience. So for a college student, I even tell the freshman students that I mentor, get yourself out there now. Never say no to an opportunity in college because people are always more willing to help out a student who's learning than they are someone who's 5 years into the industry already.
What are some things that obviously you look to do in the future as obviously your career as the social media manager comes to the end?
I don't even know where to start. Honestly, I'm just gonna start applying to jobs. Luckily for sports, we have some time because there's a lot of action going on. So, NFL, those job applications won't open up until after the Super Bowl, most likely. So I still have some time to think about what I want to do. But in all honesty, I'm just gonna apply to whatever seems interesting, and hopefully I get a couple interviews and maybe get a job out of it. I can't really say I have a preference. Being a big hockey fan, it's something that I would love to work in hockey, but I understand what's going on in football. I understand what's going on in baseball. Like, I enjoy those sports as well. And I think I just want to be a part of a great community and put myself out there and get more experience. I'm just excited to keep learning. So really no specific plan. Whoever decides to accept my resume and give me an interview, then we'll go from there.
Where can my listeners find obviously the South Carolina Hockey Club at on social media and you at?
So the South Carolina Hockey Club is under Cock Hockey on Twitter, and Instagram. And then on Facebook, it is South Carolina Hockey Club. And then as for me, Instagram, Alyssa Tull, no spaces, Twitter, Alyssa Tull, no spaces, and then Facebook, Alyssa Tull as well. And then LinkedIn as well. If you type in Alyssa Tull, should pop up. I hope I pop up.
Thank you again, Alyssa Tull, for your interview, and best of luck in your future as you begin your career and obviously with South Carolina Hockey Club.
Thank you so much, Brandon.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Alyssa Tull, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.